So I'm a mathematician and I'm a Futurama fan, and I've got this one episode which I particularly like. It's called Prisoner of Benda. It's got a mathematical theorem in it and a proof of the mathematical theorem. Well, let's just have a look at this clip here and then talk a little bit about it.
Wait a second. If we switched bodies, I could live life to the extreme, and you could indulge your demonic food lust.
We're just the people this mind switcher was made for by us. Wait, can I still change my mind?
Let's find out.
It didn't work, you doddering old...
Oh!
Well, they're really happy at this point in time. They go off and enjoy their lives for a little bit, but then they find out, well, it wasn't that good after all, so they want to switch back into their own bodies. And well, let's just see what happens then.
Professor, what's not happening?
Bad news, me. I failed to take into account the cerebral immune response.
You idiot!
Once two bodies have switched minds, they can never switch back. However, perhaps they can. Maybe we can swap back using a third body for temporary storage space.
I'm 60% storage space. Well, I'm off to the Royal Yacht for a quick seducing snatch.
See ya!
Now then, Amy, we'll simply switch bodies, and then we'll... No, I'd be back in my body, but then you and Bender would be switched. And the Amy and Bender bodies can't trade minds again since they just did.
Oh no! Is it possible to get everyone back to normal using 4 or more bodies?
I'm not sure. I'm afraid we need to use... math.
Math. Well, let's use math. But first, let's figure out what's actually going on here. It's a little bit confusing. So there's some sort of restriction in place here. The restriction is that once two bodies sat on a chair, they can't sit there again. Well, they can sit there again, but nothing's going to happen when you push the button. Okay? It's got nothing to do with the minds. Once two bodies have sat on the chair, that's it, right? Next time you put them on, nothing's going to happen. So keep that in mind. So let's just kind of try and figure out what's happened so far. Okay, so you've got our three heroes here, and the way I've done this is I've always put down 2 diagrams. One diagram stands for the body, that's the right one here, and then one stands for the mind, that's the one with the triangle in it, okay? So we've got the Amy body and the Amy mind, the professor body, the professor mind, and the Bender body and the Bender mind. Then to start with, the professor and Amy switch minds, so that goes like this. And now I've indicated that these 2 bodies have sat on the mind switcher machine by this green arc, right? So just to kind of keep track of what's going on. All right, then, well, they want to switch back, but they can't, right? Because the bodies have just sat, so they can't. So they have to bring in Bender. So Bender comes in, and now the Amy body and the Bender body sit on the chair, and minds get switched. And then really when you have to look at the diagram, there's really only one thing left you can do. You can sit those 2 bodies on the chair. And that's basically what the professor suggests. So let's put them on. And then he says, well, then I'm in my own body again. But you other guys, you'll never be able to sort yourselves out because everything's been used up. So we've already put all combinations of those 3 bodies on the chairs. Okay, and now the idea is to kind of bring in maybe even more bodies and try this idea again with temporary storage space and eventually sort everybody out. Well, they bring a lot more bodies. Actually, in the end, there's 9 people involved, and most of them are, familiar faces, except maybe the wash bucket. Even the wash bucket has a mind in this episode. And there's also a robot emperor in this episode. So the robot emperor also plays a role. Apart from that, it's just the usual crowd, the professor and Leela and Hermes, all these guys. And all right, now they really give this a good go, but in the end, everybody's kind of all over the place, mind-wise. And let's just see what they end up with. It's this, right? So in the end, we've got the wash bucket's mind in Amy's body, for example. and Fry's mind in Zoidberg's body, and it's a big, huge mess. All right, but then they really do the maths, and well, they bring in some help from outside, some mathematicians. It's actually the Harlem Globetrotters of the future. They turn out to be excellent mathematicians, apart from being excellent basketball players, and they sort it out for them. And so with this mess here, they come up with a theorem which allows them to sort out any mess, not just this one here. And even better, they don't really have to know how this mess came about, right? I mean, usually what you have to do is you kind of have to keep track who sat with who. I didn't really indicate this so far. You don't have to know this if you apply their special super duper Harlem Globetrotters theorem. So let's just have a look at what happens. They bring in 2 of those Harlem Globetrotters as temporary storage people, and they sort out everything. They've got a bit of a clip here, and at the end we'll see the theorem. So let's have a look. Okay, so there's the theorem. Something happened. Obviously, nobody can follow what's going on here because you don't really know what the minds are doing. You don't see the minds, you only see the bodies, right? Okay, well, let's have a really close look at the blackboard there. The blackboard has the theorem on it, and I've highlighted a few things. So that's really maths talk, and you'll only be able to really understand this if you're a mathematician like myself. We can try, you can try. I've underlined a few words here. So there's an arbitrary underlined here, which basically stands for an arbitrary mess. They talk about permutation, but it's really an arbitrary mess. So we can deal with an arbitrary mess. We do this by getting in 2 new guys for temporary storage. And then they're talking about cycles somewhere up there. And the cycles, whatever mess you're facing, there's actually always a little bit of structure in a mess. And these are the cycles of the mess. Anyway, so I'll just try to make sense of this theorem now for you. And let's just see what we get, okay? So I'll give this my best try. Okay, so here's the mess again. We'll focus on one of the guys here. So there's the professor's body in Benda's, the professor's mind in Benda's body. All right, so we've got a professor here. We're looking for a second professor picture. Well, it's over there. There's the professor's body. So we'll make a connection like that, okay? So we're going from mind to body. Now there's a mind in here. So that mind, where's the corresponding body? It's there. So we'll make another connection. And then Hermes' mind is in there. Where's his body? It's down there. And Amy's mind is in there. So it's Amy's body. It's over there. And we can keep on going like this. And we can do the same sort of thing for any sort of mess. So let's say we've got like 1,000 people and they're going wild on the mind switcher. We just have them here in our room and we'll pick the first person and we'll do this. We kind of chase things around. So always mind to body, mind to body, mind to body, mind to body. And eventually, well, what's going to happen? Well, we've got 1,000 people. Eventually, we have to kind of get back to the beginning. And we'll get back to the beginning, like in this case, if you just keep on going. We get back to the beginning, like there. But you see, we haven't picked up everybody here. So, we've picked up some people in this cycle. It's a 7 cycle. Involves seven bodies, 7 minds. But there's some people left over. So now what we do is we'll just pick one of those leftover guys and start the whole process again. And it will give a second cycle. And if you've got a really big group and a really big mess, what you usually get is like lots and lots of these cycles. But eventually, everything's kind of split up into these cycles. So in this case, we actually get one more cycle, a mini cycle. So there we're going Zoidberg's mind, Zoidberg's body, Fry's mind, Fry's body. So it's kind of a mini cycle like this. Okay, and now the theorem tells us that we're supposed to sort out these cycles one at a time. And I've got a slightly streamlined version of what's going on. If you actually remember what happened in the clip, you'll see that like in every single one of the mind switches that happens there, one of the basketball players is involved. In fact, they kind of share the job. So it seems like they both do the same number of mind switching. In the version I'm going to show you, which is also based on the theorem, I think it's a little bit more transparent. So let's just go for this. Essentially the same thing, but I think it's a bit more transparent what's happening. Okay, so here we've got our 7 cycle, and here we've got our 2 cycle. Okay, 2 cycle. And so you can see now in the 7 cycle, the way I've put it here on the screen, you've always got the mind next to the body, 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 and it kind of closes in like this, all right? Now we want to bring in these 2 new guys, the 2 Harlem Globetrotters of the future, and use them to sort out these cycles one at a time. So that's what the theorem actually tells us. Okay, so let's start with the big one. Bring in 2 new guys, and there's the one with the big hair, and I also call him the red guy, okay? So the red guy, and there's the other Harlem Globetrotter, I call him the blue guy because I've underlined him in blue. Okay, now we have to start somehow. This is all completely symmetrical. We might as well start with the first one we see here. We do a mind switch, okay? And we note down that this body has set with the red guy, okay? Okay, so dial on, do a mind switch, and that sorts out the professor. And then we dial on, do a mind switch, and that sorts out Leela. And we're going to keep on going like this. And as we do, we always note down this body has set with the red guy, this body has set with the red guy, this body has set with the red guy. And we just keep on going, okay? So just keep on going, and we're sorting out these. So you can really see what's happening here. It's really quite pretty. Now, put an exclamation mark here. What's happening? Well, we're nearing the end, right? We're nearing the end. We're nearing the place where we started with. Okay, so let's just continue. You know, what will it be next? Well, we dial, okay? We'll dial. We switch minds, and then we dial, and then we're back to the beginning, right? Okay. But now, if you have a look, these 2 guys, they're already set on the mind switcher, so we can't put them on the mind switcher again. So we really have to use the second guy now, okay? So we have to put the 2 basketball players on the chair, and they switch minds. Okay, that's fine. And now we can actually sort out like the cycle, but just kind of putting those 2 guys on the mind switcher. And, you know, Benda is sorted. But there's a bit of a problem here. The problem is, well, that we put the basketball players on the chair. And so basically their switch has been used. You can't use it again, okay? But now there's other cycles coming up, and we want to process them in exactly the same way, right? So, you know, we might have to do a second cycle, and we can process it exactly the same way, but then at some point in time, we would have to put the two guys on the seat again, and we've already used that, right? So we somehow have to avoid this, and actually quite easy to avoid. So let's just go back in time a little bit, okay? So let's go back in time. So we're now in the dialing phase, like dial, Herman is sorted, dial, Amy is sorted, dial, the wash bucket is sorted, and now we're in the critical phase, okay? Now we're not dialing on. What we'll do is we'll bring the second guy into play, okay? So the second guy is going to switch with the emperor here, okay? And now we basically keep on going as before, so we just kind of dial in, emperor sorted out, and now we just set those two down, and those two are sorted out. And what's important about this maneuver is that the two basketball players have not sat on the chair, right? So we can just bring in the next cycle, sort it out in exactly the same way, next cycle, sort it out in exactly the same way. Eventually we are finished, and then either the basketball players are already sorted out, you know, have the right minds associated with the right bodies, or we'll just put them down on a chair and sort them out then. And that's it. That's basically what the theorem does. Okay, now just to sort out the second cycle here. So second cycle, that's very easy. So there's Zoidberg and Fry, just swapped around. So we just go like this, we go like that, we go like this, and we go like that. And now everybody's sorted. Okay, and you can use the same, as I said, same method to just sort out any mess whatsoever. So any mess, split it into cycles, bring in two new guys. It doesn't matter how the mess came about, you can sort it out like this. Okay. Now it actually turns out that mind switching is not a new thing. It's not something that Futurama invented. It's also present in some other, well, movies, TV episodes. There's one in particular which is quite interesting, which is Stargate. So one of the Stargate episodes has a mind switching machine. It's the episode Holiday. Okay, so let's have a look at that one too. So we've got the usual 4 guys who go out and explore new worlds. So they go through the Stargate and end up in distant places and explore, right? So there's Samantha, Jack, Teal'c, and Daniel. And now they go to this planet, and there's really only one guy, a really old guy, Marcello, waiting for them. And well, let's just see what happens. Okay, so they just met Marcello, and he's going to say something.
You, here, quickly. It ventures to fight the Goa'ulds.
Daniel?
I'm fine. I think.
So what's happened? Well, I mean, you've just watched the Futurama Mind Switcher. You know what happened. What happened is that these 2 guys switched minds. But actually, Marcello, that was his plan all along. He actually wanted a new body. He was about to die, right? He's really old, he's about to die. So he wants a new body. He's got a new body now. And he pretends to be Daniel. So he pretends to be Daniel. Nobody really picks up on it until a little bit later, when these 2 guys, Jack and Teal'c, try to pick up the Mind Switcher and bring it back to Earth. So that's what happens then. So we've got all the special gear on, and they're ready to go.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
What?
So at that point in time, they know that they're in a bit of trouble, and they start, well, they really have to chase down Marcello in Daniel's body, having fun somewhere on Earth, right? Okay, so we've switched minds here, right? And we've got a mess like this. And now the person who always sorts out things, and the really, really smart person in this series is Samantha. So Samantha figures out how to sort out this mess. And actually, she doesn't bring in any additional guys. She just uses the people that have been involved in the mind switches so far. So those 4, okay? So those 4. So she says, well, I've got a method of doing this. Just pay attention, follow what I say, and then, let's just have a look at this, okay? So how, if you actually knew that this works, what would you do? Well, the first thing here is this setup is completely symmetrical, so it shouldn't really matter how we start, okay? So let's just do one mind switch here. It's possible. This one here, okay? All right. What should come next, right? So let's just say it somehow works. What should come next? Well, there's really 2 essentially different moves you can make. Either you can make this or that. That should, if it works, either should work. Or that one here, right? So which one works? Well, let's try this one first. Okay, so let's try this one. What happens? Well, Marcello is sorted out, but this body has used up all its moves, right? And well, it's not sorted out here, so we're stuck, right? So this is a dead end. So let's just trace back here. So what we should really do is do this move here. So we do this move here. And then, well, again, it shouldn't matter which one we do. So let's just do one. Let's do the other. And people are sorted out. And the theorem, well, in this case, Samantha takes a bow. Previously, the theorem takes a bow. And it's done. Is that the earliest occurrence of the mind switching in action? No, even not Stargate invented this one here. Even earlier, I know something. So in 1996, there was an episode of The Tick. It's an animated series for kids, really, where they do some mind switching. You've got different machines. There's a mind switcher in The Tick. There's a mind switcher in Stargate, and there's the mind switcher in Futurama. Different levels of sophistication. Here is just a complete mess. You don't know really how they sort each other out in the end. This one here, pretty nice, the way she does it. And this one here is just amazing, right? Great mathematics, like in many, many, many other Futurama episodes. Completely correct, and something that every mathematician will like. Anyway, so that's about mind-switching mathematics for today.